Hello everyone, welcome to Learn ReactJS for Frontend Development by CodeChef. Sometimes when working with React applications, the data changes but then the animation doesn't play again. That is, the UI gets updated but then there's no visual feedback. That's exactly what we'll be covering in today's lesson, which is React state and visual updates. We'll be looking at how React handles re-renders, why CSS animations are often rendered only once, and how key concepts like state, derived data, and key prop influence what is displayed on the screen. Learning these concepts are essential for building interfaces which are responsive and polished and not just correct. So in this lesson, we'll be looking at a couple of practical examples and understanding this concept step by step. So let's begin. Today, we're going to understand how React updates the user interface when data changes, and more importantly, why sometimes the UI updates but doesn't feel animated or responsive. This lesson focuses on the relationship between state, re-renders, and what users actually see on the screen. When users interact with an app, they don't just care about correctness, they care about feedback. If a number changes instantly with no visual cue, it can feel abrupt or even broken. Good visual updates help users understand that something changed and why it has changed. So we have seen previously what state is in React. Let's just go over it once again. In React, state is data that can change over time. Whenever state changes, React re-renders the component. This re-render is React's way of deciding what should update on the screen and what should stay the same. A very common issue developers face is this. The value on the screen updates correctly, but the animation only plays once, usually the first time. After that, updates happen instantly with no animation. This happens because React is very efficient. When state changes, React often updates only the text or value, not the actual DOM element. If the element itself doesn't change, the animation has no reason to restart. React keeps track of elements using something called identity. Identity helps React decide whether to reuse an existing element or to create a new one. If React believes an element is the same as before, it will reuse it instead of replacing it. Now this is where keys become important. A key gives an element a unique identity. If the key changes, React treats it as a completely new element, not an update to the old one. Imagine a counter that increases when a button is clicked. Each time that value increases, we want a small visual indicator to appear. By changing the key each time, we ensure that indicator is recreated, so the animation runs every time. Another important idea is to keep state minimal. Only store values that truly need to change over time. If something can be calculated from existing state, don't store it, just compute it during render. To summarize, state changes cause re-renders. Visual behavior depends on whether React reuses or replaces elements. Keys control element identity, and minimal state keeps your components simpler and more reliable. Let's look at a small UI problem that happens very often in React. We change some data, like a price, and we expect an animation to play every time the value updates. The animation is working only when the component loads at first. So after that, even if we change the price correctly, the animation does not play. It only plays at the start when the component loads. Before jumping to solutions, let's understand what React is actually doing. When the price changes, React re-renders the component. But React is optimized for performance. It tries to reuse the existing DOM elements whenever possible. So instead of creating a new element, React simply updates the text inside the same div. From React's perspective, nothing new was created. And from the browser's perspective, there's no reason to restart the animation. CSS animations normally trigger in two situations: when an element is mounted into the DOM or when an animation class is newly applied. In our current code, neither of those things happen. The animated div is created only once when the component mounts. Later updates only change the text, not the element itself. This is where React's idea of element identity becomes important. React uses something called a key to decide whether an element is the same across renders. If the key stays the same, React reuses the element. If the key changes, React treats it as a completely new element. So instead of forcing animations manually, we change how React sees the element. We attach a key that changes whenever the price changes. Now when the value updates, React removes the old element, React creates a new one and the new element mounts, and the animation runs again automatically. So now even after the component loads, when we change the price, the animation is working properly. Now notice something important here. We didn't manipulate the DOM ourselves. We didn't restart animations with JavaScript. We simply change the identity of the element and React handled the lifecycle for us. That's the real takeaway. Animations replay because the element is remounted, not because the text changed. Now that we understand this idea, let's think one step ahead. Right now, we solved a case where data changes occasionally, like switching plans. But what if updates happen rapidly? For example, when a user clicks a button multiple times. Imagine a counter where a small animated message should appear every single time you increment, even if the same action happens repeatedly. Now what will happen? Will React reuse the element again? Will the animation stop replaying just like before? And if identity controls animation, how might we use that idea in a more interactive scenario? Your next task will challenge you to apply this exact reasoning, not by copying code, but by recognizing when React is reusing elements and how to make animations feel alive again. So keep this rule in mind as you move forward. If an animation depends on mounting, then element identity matters. And in React, identity is controlled by keys. So that wraps up our lesson on React state and visual updates. To really understand this concept, make sure to head over to the CodeChef platform and try out the practice problems yourself. That's where the real learning happens. So that was it for this lesson and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.